Welcome to the Faith and Business Podcast. I'm Elle Edwards, mental health champion, positive psychology geek, and founder of the Faith and Business Playground. Join me each week as I talk openly about the highs and lows of running your own business, the dark side of entrepreneurism, and I bring you tools, support, and resources to help build your resilience, or as I like to call it, your bounce back. In today's episode of the podcast, we are thinking about this idea that when you're feeling uncertain or when you're feeling not sure, it's not just you. So I did talk about this just very briefly in the Mindset Minute, of course, for just a minute. But I wanted to dig into this a little bit more because it ties in with one of my biggest bugbears about doing business online. And if you've been listening along to the podcast for a little while, you might have heard me have a little bit of a rant about this before. But you know, everything that we do online, every time you go on social media, for example, your experience of that platform is filtered. It's filtered by what you choose to interact with. So the Facebook algorithm, it learns over time what you like in a bid to show you more of the same. In fact, thanks to the way that Facebook now seems to control the universe, you'll even, if you notice, you'll buy things and add oil, or you'll almost buy something and suddenly adverts for the things that you almost bought will follow you around the internet. So the way that you see things online really is filtered, and it really is a curated experience. Now, what this means for us as online business owners, I mean any business owners really, but I especially specialize in working with online business owners. That's the world that I'm in. So I'm gonna pick on you, but those of us who work and play in online business circles, if you run your business online, if you do business on the internet, you probably spend a lot of time sharing your work on social media. But the problem with this filtered experience is that it looks like everybody else is doing much better or feeling more confident or just having a nicer time of this thing we call life than we are. And the reason for that is because it is filtered. And even when people choose to be authentic, I'm holding up air quotes for that, but even when people say, oh, we're going to show you the behind the scenes messy stuff, they're still choosing to show which bits of mess they display. They're not going to show you all of the mess. I mean, really, the easiest or the best way to tell the stories of the mess is with a little bit of distance, because that way then it turns from being like wallowing in the mess to actually going, okay, this is what happened. Here's what I've learned from it. Here's what you can take from it. It becomes a learning experience, or, a shared, enabling us to move forward experience. So even when people have been authentic, we think, they say they've been authentic, they're showing us behind the scenes. But then what happens, the danger of that is that you look at their mess and then you look at your mess, because only you know how the mess is in your head. And then you go, oh my goodness, my mess is so much messier than their mess. I must be a complete and utter mess. Do you see how it goes? And this is the problem. And I see it a lot. And I'm on a campaign or a mission or a march to shine a bit of a light on this, because it's easy to get sucked down into believing that it's just us. And if you work behind your computer a lot of the time, as I do and lots of the people I work with do, it can also be quite a lonely experience. Or you hang out with people, but all the people you hang out with are also like in social media platforms, like in Facebook groups. So we don't tend to see people face to face as much as you might have done if you're running a business in the olden days. The olden days, like 10 years ago. No, I'm joking. Not 10 years ago. But when there was lots more bricks and mortar businesses, when we didn't have the internet and there wasn't the option to run these businesses online, people would do business with people showing up in front of them. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going down on the internet. I am every single day thankful for the opportunities that we have. I've met some wonderful people who I would never have met if it wasn't for the internet, people across the world. So do not take my crusade as being me being down on the internet. But what I do think it's time is for us to start being a little bit more honest. And even if you can't be honest out loud, on your Facebook page, for example, if you've got a business Facebook page, I'm not suggesting that you suddenly just bare all and start weeping all over the place. But I do believe you do need somewhere safe where you can have these conversations. And even if it's no more than by me, shining a light on the fact that everybody has good days and bad days, and shining a light on the fact that everything isn't rosy all of the time. If nothing else, it will hopefully help you and others feel less alone. And yes, all being well, you can find those communities and those spaces where you can get support. But sometimes just identifying what the issue is, just identifying that, okay, it really isn't just me, that in itself can be a huge, huge help. So that's part of, a big part of what I'm doing. I've been doing it off and on a little bit, already, but I'm getting much clearer and much more explicit about that direction. Now, what this has to do with you and how this ties in with this week specifically is that I am running my live masterclass on Friday. So when a little bit of behind the scenes, this is actually a proper behind the scenes, a little behind the scenes glimpse of how the podcast and the Mindset Minute comes about. So I plan it a few weeks in advance, and I tend to have a theme of sorts for the week. And I like it when the Mindset Minutes tie into the podcast episodes, because I can point people from the Mindset Minute to the podcast, for example. Or if somebody particularly enjoys an episode, they know they can go to the podcast to hear more. But what happened this week is I actually recorded this week's episodes about, I want to say a month ago. And then Friday's masterclass happened. So back when I recorded the original episodes for this week, the masterclass was not planned. The I can't even say it. Masterclass, it's quite a hard word. It wasn't an inkling or a twinkling in my eye. And then all of a sudden, things came together. I've started talking to maybe some of you listening to this even. What are you struggling with right now? What do you need? And one of the things that came up with this idea of self-doubt, of not being certain, of not being sure, and wanting to take action, but sort of holding back a little bit. And I thought, well, actually, I can help with that. So I'm going to. And so I created Friday's masterclass, which if you're not signed up for already, you've almost run out of time. By the time you listen to Friday's episode, depending on how late in the day and what time difference you're on, it might already be too late. So if you haven't signed up for the masterclass, I would encourage you to do that. faithandbusinessplayground.com/masterclass. And if you're already signed up and you know people who would benefit from it, come bring them along for the ride as well, because the more the merrier. What I'm going to be sharing with you on Friday is stuff that you can use and take away with you on the day. So in the interest of full transparency, yes, I am building a more detailed group coaching program around Dump the Doubt. And yes, I will mention it at the end of Friday's masterclass. But Friday is going to be jam-packed full, well, 5 things full of actual actionable stuff that you can take away and use straight away. So when I say the more the merrier, that's what I mean. Do your friends a favor, tell them about it. faithandbusinessplayground.com/masterclass. But more than anything today, what I want to remind you, what I want to help start shining that light on, is that when you're feeling uncertain, when you're feeling like you're not sure, it is not just you. There will be other people in the world right now, today, at this moment, probably, who are feeling a little bit like how you're feeling. And the danger is, sometimes we look at people who are a little bit further along in their business journey. We don't see the early days. Like, I've got an incredible clarity about the mission as I move forward right now today. What you don't see is the last 8 years of going round in circles and refining, because it's really easy. We don't talk about the journey so much. We don't talk about how long and how far and how round in circles we went, because that's not a fun story, but that's the reality. So the other part of this is, if you're quite new in your business and you feel like you're going in a bit of a circle round and, I'm not sure, we've all been there. It's part of the process. You can find people to work alongside you and help you get clarity possibly a little bit quicker. But know that it really is part of the process. It is part of the journey. It is not just you. Okay? Excellent. So, final reminder, sign up for the masterclass if you haven't already. And if you have, bring some friends. But in the meantime, thank you as ever for listening. It's my pleasure to share this with you. And I look forward to catching up with you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.